Super.
Allow me to start by saying I like Konosuke Takeshita. He was my 7th favorite wrestler of 2025 in my year-end review, which if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. It's up on the channel now. I still enjoy a lot of the matches that he puts on. With that out of the way, the rest of this video is related to soup slander. If you stan Take, if that's your little Pookie Bear, click off this video now, because since about halfway through last year, from a character standpoint, there are some #conversations that have needed to be had about him. And we're going to be having those conversations today. If you're new to the channel, what's up? I hope you're doing well. I go by the name of Superkicks with a 5. Consider liking and subscribing to support the channel. It's free to do so. And with that out of the way, let us get to the topic of today's video, which is why Konosuke Takeshita feels like such a geek. To reiterate, Takeshita is still having good matches. Do I think a lot of his matches follow too similar of a formula for him to truly break into the upper echelon of the best in the world type talents of today? Maybe, but on a broader scale, the Alpha is still easily, unanimously considered an extremely solid, go-to, reliable big match guy. With that being said, I don't think it's a stretch to say that this same time last year, Takeshita would rank quite a bit higher on many people's top wrestlers lists than he does now. I mean, last year he was going to war with Kenny Omita for the international title. He was the highlight of the Never division for Nuge with great matches against the Big Grip Ryohei Oiwa and the Bad Man from Kazakhstan Oleg Boltin. He was one half of the Big Two of the Don Callis Family alongside the Protostar Kyle Fletcher. He was Tanahashi's last ever match in the US, and he beat him. Comparing those accolades and the overwhelming positive consensus feeling surrounding him as a talent to where he is now, and something just feels off in my opinion at least, he's regressed to feeling so much less important than before. So that begs the question, what happened? Well, let's head back to that DCF footnote because I think this is where the crux of this issue can be found. The real beginning of the end, although we didn't know it at the time, was when, yes, Take was an integral part of the Don Callis family. That was until an outside individual decided to crash the party. Okada joins the DCF and almost immediately tension between him and Takeshita is palpable. It feels inevitable. Okada is bitching him in backstage promos and not so subtly attacking him during DCF tags. And by the time the two have their date with destiny third wheeled by Mascara Dorada at All Out, AEW is telling the fans, yeah, Okada versus Takeshita is the one. After that pay-per-view, it takes 3 whole months for them to finally run the ones. That is a quarter of the year prolonging and dragging out a match that ends in an Okada Mickey Mouse victory. Kazu takes a screwdriver, but not just any screwdriver, the Don Callis Family screwdriver, and stabs Takeshita in the head with it in broad daylight to win the match. And to make Take look even crazier, Okada doesn't even win the tournament because he loses the finals to a concussed and gassed Jon Moxley who has a chipped front tooth and 1 functioning leg. Stay right there, Mox, we're gonna get to you in a bit. So after months upon months of building the animosity between Takeshita and Okada, and after a public betrayal from Don Callis and Okada, the logical thing for Takeshita to do the next time he sees any of the people involved with this screw job would be to put their faces in the dirt on site, no questions asked. So obviously, the next time we see Takeshita, he's just back to chilling in the background of these Don Callis Family promos. He's moping, he's letting out exaggerated sighs like he's a puppy. What? Why? Why are you moving like Charlie Brown when you need to be trying to kill Don and Okada? To make things worse, that was back in December. It's April now. A third of the year has passed Takeshita by, and he's still just become complacent with how the DCF treats him like shit. You're a dork, man! And to make things even worse, Okada straight up stole this man's work husband. He said, hey Take, that Protoshita stuff, yeah, that was cute. Me and Kyle are Proto-Okada now, and also we're legally changing your name to Konosuke Takeshita. Are you okay with that? And you know what this man says? No, you know what this mouse Takeshita says in return? He says, yes, sir. He took Okada's nuts on his chin and wiped his own mouth when he was done, and he said, thank you, Big Rainmake. Takeshita, what are you doing? This faction hoes and embarrasses you on a national scale on a near weekly basis. Post All Out, your continued allegiance with them was questionable at best. post-World's End, it should have been exclusively and nothing but fades for every member of the DCF who's not 100% on your side. What are we doing, man? John Mox... It's a new year. You know what, Takeshita? If you're gonna be a geek, the least you could do is be a geek with some gold. What's this? Oh shit! Mox wants the run back because we beat him in the group stage of the C2. Okay, yes, nice. Let's do the math here. We are 1-3 against Moxley, but that one win comes from our most recent match. This shows that we've grown as a competitor. Good. We fight him in Australia. Time limit draw. Damn. All good though, because before the clock ran out, we had Mox beat. We're getting this rematch at one of the big 4 dub pay-per-views. Let's get this win and finally secure that Continental strap. Fast forward to the pay-per-view. We're bleeding. The crowd is behind us. We're doing kickouts at 1. Mox holds this raging fire. Let's go. We finally... Oh shit. He kicked out. Well, I mean, that's okay. You know, weird optics giving multiple-time world champion Jon Moxley the rub of being the first and only person to survive the raging fire. But whatever. We're good. There's no way we're losing this match. Yeah. Are we dead ass? Come on. Wait. No. Take. What are you doing, big bro? Hang on. Wait a minute. What you just witnessed here was not a sign of respect. This was the snatching of a chain. Mox might as well have spat in his face and called him a little bitch. Cause what's Takeshita gonna do about it? Make sad faces in the background of the next DCF pre-tape? And what's even crazier is Mox and the Death Riders, they went to pawn off that chain and they found out it was never real to begin with. Takeshita, marred by the constant bullying of the Don Callis family, decides to put it all behind him in the new year, goes on this quest to capture singles gold and beat the man who beat Okada, the man who he's had beat the last 2 times they've faced off. Finally, standing on his own, he's blinded by the bright lights and gets packed up by Jon Moxley. Instead of a title, the only thing that he comes home with is a handshake from a former domestic terrorist. And to make matters even worse, he comes home to the Don Callis family, and they go back to giving him swirlies and hanging him from his underpants. Takeshita wanted to shed the stigma that he's a loser. He embarks on a solo journey, comes back a loser, and so they keep treating him like a loser. How are Fletcher and Okada still running Total Drama Island routines with him? Actually, that's disrespectful to Total Drama, because at least the character dynamics in that show are entertaining. This shit has been going on for 5 months. I'm a fan of Takeshita, but as a character, he's just getting slutted out every week on TV. And he's taking it like a good little boy. And I wish that was the last of the problems with Konosuke Takeshita in 2026. Because not only does his manager think he a bitch, not only does Kazuchika Okada think he a geek, not only does Jon Moxley recognize that he a bum, Konosuke Takeshita's greatest enemy and the one man pushing this Takeshita fraud agenda more than anyone else is no one other than Konosuke Takeshita himself. As I've said a couple of times, I like Takeshita, and I would like to see him succeed to his full potential. I truly believe that he can be a world champion caliber athlete in AEW. Not that you would think that by how he carries himself outside the company. The bulk of this video has focused on flaws that exist within TK Promotions, but Takeshita is one of the few, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the first pro wrestlers to be under 3 simultaneous contracts for 3 different companies in the modern age, those being with AEW, New Japan, and DDT. Why would Takeshita want this though? Maybe for the money, maybe to show people that he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of the continent that he wrestles on or the banner that he wrestles under. All very good guesses, but what if I told you that Takeshita covers all of this ground just so he can more efficiently show everyone how much of a fucking nerd he is? Let me ask y'all a question. Who is Konosuke Takeshita? Some answers that may have popped into your head. Well, he's the Alpha. He's the former IWGP World Champ. All good and well answers, except for the fact that these are just words. They tell me nothing about Takeshita as a character, what kind of attitude he carries, what kind of person he is. And the truth that I've come to realize is we don't know. We don't know.
I don't know! I don't know!
We don't know. We have no clue who Take is as a wrestler, and to be frank, I'm not even sure if he himself knows who he is. In 2025, sure, he won the G1 and the IWGP World title, but his role in that company was never as the top guy. His role in Nuge, and I think in general, is always so undefined, to the point where it makes it difficult to form a strong case as to why this guy, who carries himself as just a guy, should be at the top of lists of who should be spearheading professional wrestling into the future. In the G1, he switches up like 8 different times, from evil foreign invading force to actually, I'm happy to be fighting for New Japan, and I love and respect New Japan, and I love honey mustard. And when he finally beat Zack for the belt, and he was heading into Wrestle Kingdom as champion, I don't know if he wanted me to treat him as a serious obstacle against Yota Tsuji. Yota Tsuji was in the weight room. Yota Tsuji was doing press. Yota Tsuji was putting the lion mark on his back and preaching to the masses that he was going to lead New Japan into the future without the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi. Konosuke Takeshita? The night before Wrestle Kingdom, Konosuke Takeshita was putting his face all up next to Danshoku Dino meet in Korakuen Hall. What are we doing? And I'm not saying comedy, and I use that term very loosely here, but I'm not saying that comedy wrestling is bad or that DDT is bad. But if you want to be a world champion and you want to be treated like a world champion, stop embarrassing yourself the night before your Tokyo Dome semi-main event. Because guess who was in the actual main event? And I ain't never seen Kazuchika Okada make out with another man in a wrestling ring. Mox, you ain't safe. You thought I forgot you was on the same shit? Hold that straight to your chest. And look, if you're Takeshita and you have respect for DDT because it's like where you were brought up and you want to pay that respect, go ahead, do it. Send money back there, man. Have serious matches with like Yuki Ueno or like fucking Cannon or someone. Literally anyone else except for DDT's resident diddler. You can still do silly spots occasionally and still be treated like a championship threat. Look at the Young Bucks. But Takeshita fails to understand that timing and tone awareness are crucial, especially when you're representing 3 companies wherever you go. Keeping some continuity with your character is all that I ask. But then again, how can you even start there when you're not sure of who you are? He calls himself the Alpha, but I don't think he believes it. And because he clearly doesn't believe it, why should I? You know what I do believe, though? After watching the path that his character has taken for the last 10 months or so, I believe I found a name more befitting of someone of his status. Ladies and gentlemen, from this point on, until Takeshita himself proves otherwise, I will be referring to Soup as the Beta. Hashtag the Beta Konosuke Takeshita. So I pose the question to you, the Beta Konosuke Takeshita. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to prove me wrong? Because all I can do as a sincerely concerned fan of yours is desperately hope that you take some sort of action. It's really all about presentation. In the short term, find a clear goal for yourself going forward. For the long term, define where you stand with the DCF. Or maybe even better, beat them all up and leave them. Get out of there, man. Know your worth. If we're no-selling forearms from Oleg Boltin, who is built like he could eat my entire house, we should respectfully not be going 50-50 with El Phantasmo. Treat yourself with respect. Please just take any sort of action other than hanging your head in the background of another Proto-Kata segment. My final thoughts, as of right now, Konosuke Takeshita is the J. Cole of wrestling. He got some hits, but if he don't believe he the GOAT, then why should I? The Beta Konosuke Takeshita, the biggest geek in pro wrestling right now. Only second to Chuddy Rhodes.
There's a little more kick to it.